Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven. Fun fact, botanically speaking, bananas are a berry, but strawberries are not actually a berry. On another note, I am back with another Wednesday episode. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. We're back, episode number 3 of 2025. I'm really enjoying it so far. So far, so good. I think we have something rolling here. I think we're going to be able to, keep up with it. Really appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten so far. I feel like it's been really almost 100% positive. You guys have kept it real cute in the comments, which I appreciate. And overall, people are just being super supportive about the podcast being back, which makes it that much easier for me to actually stay consistent with it. So huge shout out to y'all for all the love and support. I really, really appreciate it. And I feel like I am here to stay when it comes to the podcast. As almost a little reward, a little treat, if you will, for y'all's good behavior, I have decided to talk about a topic that has been highly requested, that is always highly requested. The girlies always want to know what's going on with my love life. The girlies always want a dating update. Now, part of me, a big part of me, I'm not even going to lie, a big part of me gets frustrated. A big part of me gets annoyed when people ask about my dating life. And I talked about, like, towards the end of the last episode, I talked about how frustrating it can be to feel like the internet, the public, everyone is like looking at me, waiting for some type of big update when it comes to dating, having a man, like what's going on there. It feels like people are constantly asking me like, hello, like what's going on? Is there anything? There needs to be something. Like it has that tone of like, you need to, you should, why don't you, do you, if not, why? Like it tends to have that sort of like pushy, judgmental tone. And I think that's what bothers me. But when people approach it from just like a purely curious, innocent, respectful place, like I get it. I get it. Especially if you've been watching me for forever, you've been watching my journey, you know my story. I don't blame you for being curious about my dating life. Like that's a very natural curiosity. So I don't want y'all to think that like it's just like I'm not trying to be dramatic when I get annoyed with it. You know what I mean? It's a certain way that it gets brought up. And if it gets brought up too often, that's what's annoying about it. But at the same time, I get the curiosity and I do want to talk. I mean, it's a major topic for someone, for a woman in her 30s, a single woman in her 30s, like that's a major topic. I know that it's something that like we just need to chat about. You guys can probably relate to me in a lot of ways. And I do think it's a valuable topic to discuss. And I don't want it to be, 100% off limits. And I don't want to be like that where I'm just like so like strict about it. Like that was never my intention. But it is really hard to talk about, especially when you're not having good experiences. Now, if I had nothing but great news to report, that would be different. I think y'all should probably already know by now that I don't have good news because if I had good news, I probably would have already shared the good news because sharing good news is easy. Sharing good news is like, why wouldn't you? For the most part, if you're somebody who already shares your life online, why wouldn't I share that? But when it's not good news, when you're struggling and when you're having bad experiences, and if there's any level of like drama related to it, it gets really hard to talk about because it's like, y'all gotta remember that like I'm a real person. I'm a real living human being. Everyone else that I interact with, anybody that I date is also a real living human being. And as much as I wished this could be a safe space where it's like it's just girl talk between me and y'all and nobody else has to be involved, I'm posting this on the internet for the whole entire wide world to see. That includes anybody that I dated. That includes their current partners. That includes their mama, my grandmama, my daddy, my aunties, my cousins. Sam, who is editing this, who I'm supposed to have somewhat of a professional working relationship with because she is my employee and I'm her boss, but then she gonna sit here and edit. Like, just think about that part alone. And shout out to Sam because she's editing this right now. She's the one who edits the podcast. Think about how it even just feels for Sam, for someone who works for me. She is not a family member. She did not start off as a friend. She is a true employee, like someone who started off as a stranger that I hired to play a professional role. I am her boss, and she gonna sit here and edit these podcast episodes where I'm talking about all types of personal stuff that I may not have talked to her about directly. Like, she is going to learn she is going to learn a lot about me from continuing to edit these episodes for me. That right there is kind of like uncomfortable in a sense. Like, I love Sam. We have a very like open type of like cool relationship where it doesn't have to be so stuffy and so professional, but there's a part of me that's almost like when I sit down to record, there's a part of me that is remembering like Sam is going to edit this. So anything I say can and will be used against me, you know? And beyond that, it's like my mom, my dad, my grandma, all my aunties, all my cousins, all of my elders in my life that I don't talk to about these things could very well be listening to this. Literally anyone and everyone. So it becomes kind of hard to open up about certain topics. And I think that that's something that's kind of like hard to understand if you've never experienced it. Like, if you've never posted something vulnerable online before, I think it sometimes is hard for viewers to understand, like, you know, I'm not trying to be annoying. I'm not trying to be mysterious and I'm going to tell you this, but I'm not going to tell you that, because I get it. It's annoying as a viewer. It's like, you share all of this, you showed all this, you took us on this journey, and then all of a sudden you're just not going to tell us how it ends. Like, you're not going to tell us the rest of the story. Like, that is annoying. I get it. Y'all are not wrong for being curious. Y'all are not wrong for wanting to like know more. But at the same time, you have to have boundaries. You have to be respectful. You have to approach things with grace. You have to realize when it is or isn't an appropriate time to ask a certain question. You have to realize when, you know, I may just not be ready or not comfortable or not able to discuss certain things for one reason or another. And like, you know, there has to be that mutual like understanding and respect between the viewer and the creator. And I have definitely experienced a good amount of disrespect in my time on the internet. So that's also where I get frustrated, because it's like, there's a way that you can go about it that's more careful, more respectful. And there's a way where people just obviously just do not give a fuck about boundaries, do not care about making you uncomfortable. And they're just like, you know, I want to know these things and it's your duty to tell me everything. Like, that's the territory. Like, you signed up for this life when you became a creator. So da 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 da. Like, bro, as much as I want to have these discussions and kind of give you certain updates and like have girl talk and have that connection between my viewers, like, it's just hard because of that. It's hard to put your literal personal business out on the internet. And, you know, not know exactly what's going to happen, who's going to respond, how are they going to respond, who's about to hit you up, who's going to have a problem with it, who's going to like awkwardly bring it up at the next family gathering. Like, it's a lot to kind of risk, I guess, in a sense. But I do think it's worth it to take a little bit of that risk and be vulnerable and put myself out there to a certain extent, because these conversations are very relatable and helpful. And I like, you know, having, you know, more of a sense of connection with y'all when we talk about these things. And so I'm trying, y'all. Okay. I really am trying. Okay. So anyway, I think I should start first with a little bit of some background context. Now, I do not have time. I do not have time to give y'all full detailed context of my dating life. I have previous episodes that go into a lot more detail about certain parts of it. I think the OGs, the people who've been subscribed to my main YouTube channel for years and years and years, I feel like y'all kind of know the lore. Y'all know a lot of the backstory. Now, there are certain things that have never, ever, ever been said on the internet. So there are certain things about my dating lore that nobody knows. Nobody on the internet knows. Not very many people in real life even know like the full story of everything. And you're going to have the internet detectives. You're going to have the people who think that they've found the secret, whatever on the dark web, on the black market. There's always those people who have way too much time on their hands that do deep, deep, deep stalker level digging. And they'll come and they'll say, well, I found this, and I connected this, and I looked in the background and I zoomed in. And so I know that this happened, and I know the whole story. She may not have posted it, but I found this. Even with all of that, please believe me when I say this, even with all of that, there are certain pieces of my lore that y'all do not know. It has never hit the internet. It is impossible for you to dig anything up to find it because there's nothing to dig up because it lives in my brain. It lives in my brain. It lives maybe in the other person who was involved brain, but it has never, ever, ever been posted or discussed or even hinted at or even remotely explained on the internet. There's nothing for you to find. So you don't know. There's no way for a stranger to know unless you are a psychic medium. There's no way for you to know certain details. Trust. You know, I've been a creator for a long time. I say this every time. I've been a creator for 11 years. Y'all seen me go through a lot of different phases. Y'all seen me in different relationships, you know, and people think that they know everything. They think that they know my story. They think that they know my secrets. They think that they know the reason why and what happened and blah, blah, blah. And you'll see a lot of people tell a lot of stories about me, and it's just I'm just telling you now, like, it's not 100% accurate. It couldn't be. Anyways, a bit of background context. So I have been in, I would say, give or take, I would say, which ones do I want to count? Because you know, you have relationships that are like very juvenile, that looking back on it, you're like, that doesn't even really count as like a real relationship. Like, does that even really count as dating? Like, which ones do we want to count? I guess I will count my first college boyfriend that I had going into college as like my first, like, kind of, like, I don't even really want to count him, but we'll count him. Then we have my main college boyfriend that was the first one that I ever posted about. The first one that I just mentioned, that's one of those things where it's like, it's never been on the internet. You wouldn't know. But the second college boyfriend was on the internet. And then we have, we have Zaya's dad. And then we have, I feel like I should just say his name because everybody knows his name, but I know he's going to get mad if I say his name, which is dumb because it's like, this was all over the internet. Like, everybody knows your name. After Zaya's dad, we have blank. I'm not going to say his name. Y'all know. And since then, I've only been in one other relationship. So how many is that? The unknown college boyfriend, the known college boyfriend, Zaya's dad, he who shall not be named. And so that's 5. So for the purpose of, so I'm going to say, I would say even 4 to 5 relationships that I've been in my whole entire life, like real dating experiences, like not counting the little stupid thing in high school where I didn't even see the guy in real life, or the little stupid, like middle school, high school. No, Because for me, like, I wasn't really allowed to date and wasn't really like doing anything in high school. So it was more so when I got to college. The way it went for me is I came into college with the unknown guy, like I said, the guy that you don't even really know about. He was someone that I met in high school, and our relationship went from like my senior year of high school to starting college. And it just didn't work out. Like, it was a long distance thing because he was from, I went away a little bit, like 3 hours away, 3 to 4 hours away for college. And he wasn't there with me. And it basically was, to simply put it, was like, okay, I'm here at college now. Like, I'm not going to hang on to my little high school boyfriend long distance. Like, that's just not going to work. I don't want to do that. I want to, start fresh in college. Long story short. And it wasn't a big deal. Like, that, I consider that to barely even count as a real relationship. It was very juvenile. It was very silly. It was not like a big deal at all. But I met my next boyfriend at college. He was like one of the first few new people that I met at college, period. And that relationship, that was the first relationship that I like posted, like blatantly posted with him, like did YouTube videos with him. Like, you have to be a true OG to know who I'm talking about, because this was 2011, 2012. Like, this was so long ago. But that relationship was very toxic. To put it plainly, he was a fuckboy. He didn't have no impulse control. Clearly, he clearly didn't really like me, didn't respect me, cheated on me hella, and I was still little innocent little prude, barely ever had a boyfriend, barely did anything in high school, like didn't know nothing about nothing. Like, I honestly came into college pretty unexperienced, like just in life in general. Like, there were so many life experiences that I had not had coming into college. And so I felt like, looking back on it, I was just naive. I was young, naive, inexperienced, immature, wasn't hip to the game, wasn't hip to a lot of things. And I just kind of got used and abused by, this guy who was a player and a cheater and Mr. Cool Guy and whatever. And that really sucked, because that was like a very embarrassing relationship for me, like to get cheated on, and for like people around school to like know certain things and kind of like be talking certain things. And like, he did a lot of things that were just very mean, like mean spirited. Like, he broke my heart. And he dumped me, which was crazy because like I never did anything to him. Like, he treated me so bad. He played me out like a dog. And yet, I was dumb and I kept going back to him, and I really liked him and blah, 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 blah. We had some really bad moments, like bad altercations and been like serious like drama within our relationship. But I kept going back, and ultimately he ended up dumping me. He somehow ended up dumping me when I never did nothing to that man, and he was horrible to me. But by the end of it, he just was like, I never liked you. I don't love you. I'm not attracted to you. I actually don't know why anybody would be attracted to you. Like, I just don't want to be with you. I'm going to go be with this other girl that I was cheating on you with. Like, it was so heartless and so mean, and I was so heartbroken. And I've told this story before, but that relationship, the toll that it took on me, and then the breakup specifically, and how like mean he was about it, and the position that I was already in, of already being like young and naive and immature, and not like, I did not have enough self-worth or self-confidence or life experience or anything to be able to take that blow. Like, I did not have it. Like, he was hitting me below the belt. He was hitting me where it hurt. And I did not have anything to like balance out the way he was making me feel. And so I took it hard. I took that super, super hard. And I've also always struggled with depression and anxiety and, self-esteem. Like, if y'all saw me back in college, like today's prices are not yesterday's prices. Like who I am today, what I look like, how I carry myself, things I have going for me, like who I am as I sit here on this couch today is not the same girl that I was back then. I had severe cystic acne. I had fucked up teeth. I was not as hip when it came to, hair and makeup and stuff. Like, I'm not trying to, this is not trying to be a pity party, but like, I'm just trying to explain that like I genuinely had low self-esteem for some valid reasons. You know what I mean? And I genuinely dealt with anxiety, clinical depression, like diagnosed with clinical depression, like seen a therapist, seen like not just, oh, I'm saying I'm depressed, but like I actually have depression. I actually struggle with anxiety. I actually have low self-esteem. I actually have never been through anything like this before. And so saying all that to say, like, that's why I took that breakup so hard. And it put me in a very dark place of, you can see why. You can see how, rather. How do I even put this? You could maybe understand knowing that how I ended up with the next guy who ultimately turned out to be the father of my child. Because a lot of people are curious about that. A lot of people are like, how the fuck did that even happen? Like, how did you, what made you want to even, what did you see in him? Like, how did he, the math is not mathing, but if you would have been right there at the time, the math would have very much mathed. It was perfect math, actually. It was exact perfect math. You take somebody who has depression, anxiety, extremely low self-esteem, just got dumped and was told and believes that no one will ever like them. And then you take whatever random next guy saying, well, I like you. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? I don't care what that guy got going on. I don't care if he literally is a troll from under the bridge. If you would have known what mindset I was in, you would see exactly why I went for it and exactly why it lasted as long as it did and went as far as it went. But ultimately, when I was able to freaking get in my right mind or have little moments of having clarity and logic come through, I knew that I didn't like him. I knew that I didn't want him. I knew that I wasn't in love with him. I knew that I didn't want to be in this relationship. I knew that this was not for me. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This guy is not for me. Clearly, this was like basically like a rebound situation. Clearly, I was struggling with some stuff, and I have to take responsibility for that. I have to take responsibility for the decisions that I made. It don't matter that I had low self-esteem. It don't matter that the other guy broke my heart. Those are still decisions that I made, and I still have to take responsibility for that. But like I said, when I was able to sort of like see it for what it was, I was like, what? I don't want to be doing this. Why am I doing this? Why am I in this relationship? By then, oops, too late. Too late. Too late, because guess what? Positive pregnancy test. So now what you gonna do? And this episode is not about the pregnancy. I have to do another episode about that, I guess. Like, I don't want to get too off the rails and go down too much of a tangent, talking about the pregnancy and what made you decide to, that's not what this is about. All you need to know is I got pregnant. I decided to move forward with the pregnancy, but I decided to not move forward with the relationship because I already freaking knew. I already knew that this relationship wasn't going anywhere. I was already planning to break up with him, but then I found out I was pregnant, but oh well, too bad. I'm still breaking up with you. Like, we're still not going to be together. Like, that was a given. That was so obvious. It was so obvious that him and I were never, ever, 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 ever. I don't care what we tried. We were never going to work out. I was never going to be happy with him. And I quickly learned that even the idea of co-parenting was not going to work. So there was just going to be nothing there. And that is ultimately what ended up happening. Again, this is not the podcast episode for me to dive into the details of exactly how all that played out, but just skipping ahead, that's how it played out. No contact, no nothing, no ever thought of rekindling, no co-parenting, delete, erase. You need to move on and do something else. Okay. So then we come to my next, my next relationship, which would be my first relationship since having Zaya. Obviously not with Zaya's dad. Like I just said, that was never going to be a thing. So after I had Zaya, I started dating someone else. This is the someone that many people know good and well who the hell I'm talking about, but I'm just not going to say his name so he doesn't get mad at me again, because he once threatened to sue me for talking about him on my podcast before. And I've done a whole podcast episode, by the way, highly recommend. I think it's called This Is Why I Have Trust Issues or something trust issues. Go listen to that podcast episode because it fully dives into the whole story with this guy. And it's a doozy. Go listen to that episode because I'm not going to retell the whole story here. But to, again, fast forward and get to the point, started dating him. Zaya was a baby. Oh my God, thought it was going to be so cute and so nice. And it wasn't. And he was living a double life and he was cheating on me the whole time. And I found out and it was horrible and it just all blew up. And that brought me to 2019. Which at that point, Zaya was like 3 years old and I'm single and I've been through 47 heartbreaks. I've been cheated on 900 times. I have very little faith in love, very little faith in men. I hate men at this point. Like I came into 2019 after all of that, back to back, just getting cheated on and just having like the most tumultuous, dramatic, freaking abusive, freaking everything you could think of relationships back to back, which again, I do take responsibility for my own decisions. Okay. I do. But at the same time, like parts of it felt very unfair because parts of it did kind of feel like, what the heck did I do? I didn't do anything. I've never done anything to anybody. I swear, like I've never done anything to deserve the treatment that I received. A lot of things just kind of felt like it was just happening to me out of the blue for no reason. And I became very jaded and I became very bitter and I became very, like I said, like I hated men. I hated the idea of dating. I did not want to even try it anymore. So I went through the whole entire year of 2019. I did not speak to a man for the whole year. I did not speak to a man, not a text message, not a DM, not a phone call, not a flirty encounter at Target, not a nothing, unless it was my dad, my brother, or like my best guy friends or something. But as far as any sort of remotely getting into the realm of flirting or dating, I did not even exchange one word like that with a man. I was so over it. You have no idea. Like you talking about celibacy. I took celibacy to a whole nother level. I freaking became like a nun for the year. I was so over it. And I felt like there was a point where I felt like I may just live my life like this forever because I can't take it anymore. I've had too many bad dating experiences. And at that point in 2019, how old was I in 2019? 26? I was only 26. And I already felt like I'm done for life. I am done for life. And like I said, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you haven't heard those previous podcast episodes, go listen to it because it really gives a lot of context as to why I felt this way. And again, there's more details that like I feel like I've never really shared that would really give even more context to why I felt that way. Maybe one day I will work up the courage to go back and give those dirty details. I don't know. Today is not that day. But I had been through a lot and I was over it. But 2020 came around. I went through a whole year of that. And I'm not going to lie, after a year, I started to feel lonely. Like the loneliness started to outweigh the anger, I think, is what happened. Like I was so angry that I wasn't lonely for a long time. The anger outweighed the loneliness. But then it got to a point where the loneliness started to outweigh the anger. And I started to have that desire for a relationship and for some type of male attention or some type of romance or some type of something, which is like a natural desire for most people. Like, I don't think that that's crazy. And I actually thought something happened. Don't ask me how this happened, because truly I don't know. I actually thought that maybe I might give my last ex another chance. There was a little blip in the timeline where I was like, this man lived a double life and cheated on me throughout our whole relationship. And he was the straw that broke the camel's back that made me turn into a nun for the past year. But somehow, after all that, somehow I feel like I might want to give him another chance. But don't worry, that was very short lived. It didn't end up panning out. It didn't end up happening. I came to my senses. It never happened. It was a blip in the timeline. It never fully happened, which was for the best. But then I basically went through the rest of 2020 single and just sort of like, now I'm feeling lonely. Now I kind of wish I had, but I just don't. I find it difficult. I'm not going on any dates. I'm still just not talking to anyone because I just feel like in 2019, it was a choice. It was like, I don't care. I'm not talking to none of y'all. In 2020, it was less of a choice and more of a struggle, if that makes sense. Like it seems like there's no good options out there type of thing. And then in 2021, I finally was like, okay, I'm going to put in a little bit more effort to actually try to put myself out there, actually try to go on some first dates, actually try to entertain. I'll answer some of these DMs, I'll reply to some of these texts, I guess. I'll take these, whatever, I guess I'll actually try it. Because not to be cocky or anything, I say this in the most humble way possible, but one thing that no one could ever say to me or like make me feel bad about, no one can ever say like, I can't get a man. That's a thing that people like to say, especially to like single moms. Oh, you just can't get a man. No man wants you because like you're a single mom or because you're this or because you're that. Like, that's the reason why you're single. That's the reason why because you can't get a man. Again, I say this in the most humble way possible. There has never been a time in my life where I couldn't have a roster if I wanted to. There is a combination of things going on here. I'm just going to be blunt. I'm not saying that like I'm proud of this or I'm bragging or this is the way it should be, but this is the way it is. This is the cold hard truth of society. I am a light-skinned, conventionally attractive by most people's standards, thin, which goes into the conventional attractiveness, successful, wealthy, even public figure who has clout, who knows a lot of people who know a lot of people, that ranges from everyday regular people from my hometown to people all across the state, to people all across the country, to creators and influencers, to full-blown celebrities and athletes and music artists and everything in between. Do you really think, having said all that, and again, this is not me bragging or me trying to act like, ooh, I'm so proud of, like, that's just society. Those are things that the men of society is going to catch their eye. That is going to be attractive to them. Do you really think that there has ever been a day in my recent life that I haven't had men trying to holler at me? That I haven't had athletes and celebrities and whoever the hell else like sliding in my DMs. Like, I've joked about certain DMs that I've gotten, and I wasn't joking. Like, if you know, you know, I say stuff, like I say slick things here and there. Like, I'll be on my TikTok live stream and I'll like say something. I'm not joking. So it's never been a case of nobody likes me, nobody's paying attention to me, nobody's attracted to me, nobody wants me. Like, it's more of a feeling of, but do I like them? But do I want to talk to them? But do I feel a connection with them? But is that the type of person that I'm looking for? And so I feel like maybe the one thing you could say about me, like if a hater was trying to hurt my feelings, one thing that they could say is the right man doesn't want you, or however you would phrase that, like XYZ type of guy is obviously not approaching you. And so you can't get, like, if you wanted to phrase it like that, like maybe that would be more true. But settle that to say, like, it's never been a lack of options completely. It's just more been like either I completely am uninterested in even trying, or I feel like I don't like the options that are in front of me, or, you know, something like that. But like I said, in 2021, I was like, okay, well, let me just try. Cause like I've been single at that point. I had been single for like 2 whole years. And I mean like single, like, again, like I wasn't talking to anyone. I wasn't going on any first dates, like no, nothing. So 2021, I was like, okay. And I went on a total of 3 first dates in 2021. First date was terrible. Actually, I got food poisoning. I've mentioned this before. I got food poisoning. I threw up on the date. He was really nice about it. That didn't end up being like a huge issue, but that kind of was like a casual thing that lasted for a minute. Like, oh, I would see this guy, I would talk to him. Like, we had some fun times. I'll say that we had some fun times. We had some fun conversations, but he wasn't the one. He wasn't somebody that I could be with long term or take seriously, or like we weren't each other's person in that way. And I think we both knew that like pretty immediately, but it was more of just something fun to do. And so that, like, you know, fizzled out, whatever. Then I went on another first date, and this was like an immediate, like, no, like, you're cool. We could be cool. We could be cordial. We could be friends. Like, there's not like no issue, but we just did not have chemistry. We did not have romantic chemistry. At least I wasn't feeling it. I guess I can't really like speak for how he felt on the date, but I just felt like immediately I could just tell, like, you're cool, but we're going to be friends. Okay. Then I went on my 3rd first date of the year. This is the update. Like, this is the update. 3rd first date was not a normal date. 3rd first date was actually a vacation. Let me tell you what happened. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat concise. I was already planning a vacation. I came across, in the midst of planning this vacation, I came across this guy. We basically showed mutual interest in each other. We exchanged information. We talked, I think, once or twice. Like, it went from, okay, let me get your number, a couple little text messages. Can I FaceTime you? One FaceTime call. I believe it was just one FaceTime call. Never met this person in real life. FaceTime call. Oh, what do you have up? What do you have planned? Like, what's going on in your life? Making chit chat, making small talk. I was like, oh, actually, I'm planning this vacation. And I jokingly said, you want to come? And he was like, yeah. Like, really? And I was like, well, I mean, I wasn't really, I was joking, but YOLO, why not? That what an exciting first date. Like, instead of linking up and going out to dinner or going to the movies, why not link up and go out the country and have a nice full-blown vacation? Truly, what's the difference, you know? So it actually happened. So my first time meeting this person was airport arrival. So I get there. This is crazy. I've never done anything like this before in my life. I've only ever been on freaking 5 dates in my life in total anyway. Cause like my whole previous dating experience was very like, I was always just like, I'm somebody who like, I've been in like these relationships and they've been like these long drawn out things with the one same guy. And there's not any like dating in between. Like I'm not somebody who has casually dated much at all. Like I have not been taken out on or taken people up on, put it that way, taken people up on their offers to go out on dates or casually date. I always find myself in these long, toxic, full-blown relationships. And so really like the other couple of first dates that I had went on right before this, like those were some of the only like normal first dates that I have ever been on in my life. And so this is one of the few, times that I'm doing this. And for some reason, I decided that it was going to be cool to like do this full blown vacation thing. So I don't know what, like, I literally don't know what possessed me to follow through with that, because that was so off my timeline. So like not like me, but we went and it was a great time. Everything worked out. Nothing went wrong. I had a great time. We had great chemistry. I was glad that I did it. I was like, oh, this must be a freaking sign. Like it was all meant to be. Like, I'm so glad that we did this, blah, 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 blah. Like everything is just sparking and moving and beautiful and butterflies and rainbows. And from there on, obviously, like I kept seeing this person. I started dating this person. And then it wasn't until, what's today? It's January. About 3 months ago, give or take, is when I actually stopped dating this person. So just to give you a bit of a timeline, we went from 2021 to 3 months ago. Whole time, y'all been asking me for a dating update. Y'all been asking me what's going on in my love life. Y'all been asking me a lot of things, a lot of questions. The reason why I didn't ever like fully blatantly give y'all this update or tell y'all about him or like make a big deal that I was dating this person is, number one, past trauma, past horrible experience with every time I date someone, it's horrible and it's just embarrassing to have that be public knowledge that I was even with this person. So I didn't really want to publicize my relationship. I was like in a position where it's like, I probably will never publicize another relationship ever again, just in case it goes wrong. And just not even just in case it goes wrong, but just in general, like it can be really detrimental to publicize your relationship, just period. Like that's a very touchy, like risky thing to do. Like as a content creator, you see all sides of it. You see some creators who just like fully and completely put their whole relationship, not their whole, because everybody has like things that happen behind the scenes, but you see content creators who are very open with who they're like, this is my man, this is his name, this is his page, this is what we're doing today, like here you go, like giving it all to the public. Then you see people who are like extremely private. They've got it down. They've got it locked up tight. Like you can't even if you went digging, you wouldn't be able to find who they're with. And then you've got people who are kind of in between where it's like, that they're dating someone. You think you might know who he is, but it's not really confirmed. They don't really make a big deal about it, but it's kind of like that in between. And I think I was kind of starting to lean towards that in between where it's like, it's not a secret, but it's also not something that I'm trying to like blatantly publicize, because it is really scary and you're allowing a lot in. You are allowing a lot in when you publicize your relationship. And I did not want to open those floodgates. And so for the most part, like I kept it very demure over the past, 3 years, kept it very demure. Now I will say this. That relationship was not a straight through, all 3 years, serious, locked in. It wasn't. It was off and on. It was up and down. It was at some points casual, not exclusive, whatever, lax, easygoing. It was at some points, hey, I am single now. And it was at some points, no, like we actually are locked in. Like it went through different phases. And so that's why if you were to go back and cross-reference my content, there's some moments where it was like, it was giving lover girl, it was giving girlfriend. Then there's some moments where it was giving very much single. Then it was some moments where it was giving confused. Like you can't really tell. It was sort of somewhere in the middle because that's exactly what was happening. Honestly and truly, there's nothing that I feel like is super worth telling y'all about that relationship right now. There are definitely some things that happen, maybe some juicy stories that I could tell to a certain extent, but nothing that's like monumental. You know what I mean? Like more or less, it's a lot of repeating themes. More or less, I experienced similar things as I experienced with all the other ones. You know what I mean? More or less, I left the relationship feeling a lot of similar emotions, dealing with a lot of similar feelings that I have felt before. Like it sort of feels like, here we go again. Honestly, not completely. Honestly, the way that I can describe it is like, it feels like a stair step. Zaya's dad is the worst. Bottom of the barrel. That was my worst experience by far for so many reasons. Like I rank that, I rank that not even at 0, but in the negatives. My next relationship after that was public, was bad, but it wasn't that as bad. You know what I mean? So it was like a little bit of a step up. And then this most recent relationship that I'm referring to was not at all as bad as those two. Did not have to deal with some of the extreme, negative things that I had to deal with him. I did not have to deal with him. So it was definitely like a step up. And was genuinely like, I still have to give props where they're due. Like genuinely was a level up, genuinely was a step up in a lot of different ways, but still was the same in too many different ways. You know what I mean? Like it's still clearly, if we're not together right now, clearly it still wasn't right, or it still wasn't enough, or it still was too similar to, those previous experiences that I had. And so that's my update. You know what I mean? Like my update is, here I am again. My update is I'm single. My update is I'm trying not to feel like how I felt in 2019 when I became a nun. In 2019 when I was like, I hate men, I'm never speaking to another man. And I was so freaking like extreme with it and dramatic about it. I'm trying not to feel that way right now, but it's like, it's wanting to burst out of me. I want to feel that way. I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel like I'm losing hope. I kind of feel like when I look around me, I see a very disproportionate balance of happy, healthy relationships versus toxic, failed relationships. That's the truth. Like when I look around, I don't see a lot. There are some. Do not get me wrong. I can be realistic. You know what I mean? I can be realistic. I can see the truth of the fact that like there are good men out there. There are healthy relationships out there. Some people are happy. Some people have great relationships. Like it is there. It is possible. I'm not trying to like take that away from anyone else. I'm not trying to be that bitter baby mama, bitter single girl who just think, no, like I get it. It is out there. I do see it. And I love that for them, genuinely. But I don't see a lot of it. I don't see a lot of it. I don't see enough of it. And the other main thing is like, again, it's never a lack of options, period, but it's a lack of good options. And that can be proven through, I have plenty of friends and family who want the best for me, who genuinely, like they tell me all the time, like, you're such a catch. Like, they're hyping me up. They're speaking love and life into me. And if they could, they would love to set me up with a nice young man. Everyone from my parents to my aunties to my cousins to tons of like family friends, anyone that I am related, connected to through, work or the industry, social media industry. Like, that's a very wide connected web of people that I'm like associated with via the internet. I have an amazing friend group of amazing people, some of which are in happy, healthy relationships. They've got family, they've got friends. Out of everyone in my whole entire life, every single person that I know on this earth right now, and as much as all of them are like, oh, we just really want to see you with the nice guy, we just really want to see you be happy, like, you deserve it, you're such a catch, like, you need a man who's this, and this. I know so many people, and so many people say that to me, and not one person has ever, let me make this abundantly clear. Not one person has ever been able to send any man my way to try to set me up with anyone, to say, oh, actually, I know this guy, or, my cousin or my brother or my friend of a friend, or this guy that I work with, you should really meet him. He would be perfect for you. I want to get y'all together. You should take his number. I'm going to invite him to the next part. Not one person. I know a lot of people. I want y'all to understand this. I want to really put this into perspective. Did you see how many people were at my Christmas party? Did you see how many people were at my Christmas party? And that's just the people who were able to come. I know a lot of people. Every single person in that room pretty much knows that I'm single, believes in me as a person, thinks I'm a good person, I'm pretty sure, and would love to see me in a happy relationship. But not one of them could point me in the direction of a man that they think is worthy for me to talk to. That is insane. And that is my biggest thing right now, is like, who and where? Please answer me quickly. My friends will joke around and name like some random athlete or some random actor or something, but like that's not a viable option. You know what I mean? Not even in the sense that like I can't, that they're unreachable, because men are more reachable than you think. Men are a lot more reachable than you think. I'll say that right now. So it's not even that. It's just like, there are certain things that come with certain, and I guess it's stereotypes. It is. You got to give people a chance. I guess, it's true that you have to get to know somebody personally, and you can't judge them from the outside, or you can't judge them based on their career or whatever. But when you think about, professional athletes, your lifestyles have to mesh. You know what I mean? Your day-to-day has to make sense for it to work. Like, you have to be equally yoked in some kind of way for it to work. And that's really difficult for me. I find it really difficult to yoke with anybody. I find it really difficult to mesh with anybody to date, because I live a very specific lifestyle. Even just down to the fact that like, I don't co-parent. I am Zaya's parent. There is no co-parenting going on. There's no split schedule going on. The schedule is 100% over here. And if I need a babysitter, it's my parents. I do not trust anybody else to watch my child other than my own parents. She has never had any other like babysitter or nanny or anything. That's just personal choice on my end. And so if I need time away to go do kid-free things, Zaya is with my parents. But anytime somebody asks, where is Zaya? Like I keep saying, I get on, TikTok live stream or something like that, and people are like, where's Zaya? Where's Zaya? If she's not here, she's with my parents. She's at school or she's with my parents. There is nowhere else that she could be. There's literally nowhere. I don't send her off with anybody else. She has never been off with anybody else. So compared to like, I have a friend who actually does co-parent, and she has a split schedule with her kids. And so she knows, for example, the agreement or the schedules that the kids go with their dad every Thursday night or every whatever. So she knows that that's a set schedule. She knows that that's set time every week that she's not going to have her kids. And she doesn't have to feel guilty about it because they're with their freaking dad like they're supposed to be. So she can make plans. She can set dates. She can, if a guy hits her up and wants to meet for dinner, she can say, okay, well, I can definitely meet you on Thursday night, because she already knows she's not going to have her kids on Thursday night. And I don't have that. I don't have no type of split set schedule. Every time that I need time away, I am asking my parents for a favor, which puts a different tone on the way that I live my life, honestly, which my parents are very involved, very close, very willing, very generous, and very just like, I'm very grateful for them and for their involvement, and the fact that like 9 times out of 10, if I call on them, like they are going to make themselves available. So I'm very lucky in that sense, because I know I can't imagine not having them and not having anyone and just being stuck and just trying to like find a babysitter or whatever. Like that would be a whole different thing. So I'm very glad to have my parents. But even still, it's like at the end of the day, it's still me asking them for a favor. They are not her legal guardians. They are not her parents. They are her grandparents. And as much as I know they love to spend time with her, and a lot of times they don't mind and they want to spend that time with her, at the end of the day, like that's not their responsibility to keep her or constantly be like, you know, babysitting her or whatever. So I don't like to, I try to kind of be careful about overdoing it. But a lot of times, like, I don't have a choice, because there are a lot of things in my life that I need to do without her. Like I can't bring her along for so many things, for work, for appointments, whether it be personal self-care appointments or important like doctor appointments. If I want to get my nails done, if I want to ever get my hair done, if I ever want to ever get a facial, or if I need to have a doctor's appointment, and then there's 3 different types of doctors, and you got to go to the dentist, and work every day, every week is the main thing, which she's at school while I work usually, but there's a lot of overflow with work related stuff that are outside of school hours. And then every time I want to hang out with a friend, and it's like, it needs to be a kid-free type of hangout. Luckily, a lot of my close friends have kids, so we're able to like bring the kids, and we don't always have to like worry about getting a babysitter. But a lot of times it's a kid-free type of thing going on. It's somebody's birthday, there's a girls trip, there's a dinner, there's an outing, there's an event, influencer events. Like there are so many things constantly going on that like I can't bring Zaya to. Like if I want to be able to do this thing, I need my parents to watch Zaya. So multiple times a week, you know what I mean? If I want to have any sense of self-care, if I want to have any alone time, if I want to get any work done, if I want to hang out with any of my friends, if I want to go to any influencer networking events, that's already 5 different things that I have to ask my parents to watch Zaya for. So you can imagine how much it builds up and builds up on a weekly basis, and how it could be very easy for me to like already be feeling guilty about that. And by the time all that is done, I feel like I haven't spent enough time with Zaya, or I feel like I've had to ask my parents too many times to keep her too many times. And that does not include dating. I said all that to say that's already such a struggle. And then you want to throw in dating. And then after everything I just said, you want to try to date? When, where, who, what? Like that's a big issue for me too. Simply just the timing and the scheduling of it all, making time for it, and feeling like it's okay to even do that. You know what I mean? Like, is that even okay at that point? Like you already did this without Zaya. And now you're going to go on a date too? Like, damn, the grandma, the baby, you know what I mean? And I don't like that. So that's like a struggle. And then just like, there's definitely something there when it comes to like being intimidating. You know what I mean? Like being too too successful or too wealthy or too publicly known, too much in the internet spotlight, too many eyes on me. In a weird way, having too much going for me, being too busy, being too, to this and to that and to and not and then it's like it comes off as like being hyper independent or masculine or all these terms that I'm hearing being thrown around where it's like, because I've been single for so long, because I am very much like I am an independent person. I am a single mom. I've had to do a lot of things myself. I've had to go through life myself. I have developed a certain, personality and a certain demeanor through that I guess can be seen as like just too it's too much. You know what I mean? It's not dainty and soft and feminine and damsel in distress enough. You know what I mean? It's not submissive. It's not whatever. And it's like, fuck you, first of all. I would like that's ick, cringe. Like that's very cringe to me. Like I have no desire to be submissive and helpless and come save me. Like I can save myself. I think being independent is great. I think having my own shit going for me is great. I think I think those are positive things. I'm proud of myself. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, it can make dating hard because it can make a man feel emasculated. And that is definitely something that I have dealt with every single time in every relationship. In every relationship, I have dealt with the problem of, oh, you don't feel like enough of a man, do you? Oh, I see what's going on here. I make you feel emasculated. I make you feel less than. I make you feel insecure. I make you feel like you don't have enough. You're not doing enough. I make you feel insecure to the point where you start projecting things on me. I make you feel insecure to the point where it hurts your ego so bad that you have to go and do something. You have to go and do something wrong to feed your ego. You got to go do a little something on the side to feed your ego, to make you feel better about yourself. I see what's happening here. And I can say that because there's been times where they have literally told me, like they've told me that. I have had men admit to the way that who I am and what I have and what I've achieved and how I move through the world, the way that it makes them feel and affects their ego and stuff like that. Like I've heard it. I've seen it. I've seen the proof of it. Like it's like, you can't deny it. You know what I mean? Even the ones who don't want to admit it, you can't deny it. We all see what's going on here. And that sucks because then it's like, okay, well, it clearly is going to take a certain type of man, a very, very specific, tailor-made, certain type of man of a certain caliber, of a certain this and a certain that. It's going to take such a specific type of man to even be a viable option, to even see if maybe this could really go somewhere. No average Joe off the street for so many reasons is going to work. Like we all know that. Like I said, everyone around me clearly knows that because no one can give me any option. No one knows. I keep going back to this. No one knows. No one can think of someone who would fit that mold for me. And it makes me feel like, does it exist? Does it exist anywhere within reach? I know there are. How many people are there in the world for real? How many people are there on Earth right now? 8 billion. Well, that was for 2023, but whatever. 8 billion people. 8 billion people in the world. And I know that somewhere in that 8 billion, there has to be a few viable options that I could get along with, that I could mesh with, right? You know what I mean? Out of 8 billion, I can't be so unreasonable to think that it's not out there, that it's not possible. So I know, so like, I'm not going to say that. And I'll say this, 8 billion people, because another thing, and this has to be like At this point, I've been talking too long and we're going to have to like make it another episode. But another thing is that people are like, well, maybe you need to date a girl. Maybe you're not finding what you need in a man because what you're looking for is actually going to be in a woman. Fine. I will make it. I've said this before on other platforms and other ways, but to make it abundantly clear on the record here, fine. I am open to that. I do not consider myself to be queer in any way, shape, or form. I've never felt like I needed to identify as any type of queer. Like, I don't think that I'm bi. I don't think that I'm gay, but I am very open-minded. I am very much an ally. I am very much someone who is like, I have no issue with that. I have no shame. I have no worries. If I were to ever realize that I liked a woman and wanted to date a woman, great, perfect, fantastic. Love it. Love that for me. I'm not scared of what my parents would think. I'm not scared. Like, I have no reason to not allow that to happen if it were to happen. So I'm telling you right here, right now, if that's the case, so be it. I can keep an open mind, but I'm just saying, like, right now, it just has never, I don't think that's going to happen. Never say never, but I don't think it's going to happen because it never has happened. I've never had a desire to date a woman. I've never had those feelings before, but I don't know. I've seen like people on TikTok, women on TikTok tell their story of like, I dated men my whole life. And it wasn't until I was like 35 or 40 that I finally like dated a woman and it changed my life and, you know, whatever. So, I mean, hey, I'm trying to look, it's getting to that point where it's like, damn, what is it? Then what is it? And maybe that's what it is. But I'm not completely sold on that idea, to be clear. That's my update. Did that make any sense? Did that feel like an update to y'all? Was that insightful? Did that feel like it answered any questions? I hope it did. I kind of blacked out. Long story short, I'm single, starting to feel a little hopeless. But you know, life goes on also. There's so many other things in life. There's so many other things I have to do and worry about. Like, you just do and worry about other things. You can't harp on it too much. That's what I always try to tell myself is like, do not ruminate too much. Don't harp on it too much. Like, there's so much of it that I just cannot control that I have to just like let it be. You know what I mean? So I try to do that, but it does suck. It definitely sucks. It sucks, especially when you allow, like if I ever allow myself to compare myself to other people and I start looking around like, well, man, why can't they and why can't I? But everybody's journey is their own journey. Everybody's on their own timeline. What's meant to be will be. At least one last thing I will say, because I know this episode is getting too long, but one last thing I do really want to say is how I said that before I had extremely low self-esteem and like I let certain things slide because I had really low self-esteem. I can confidently say now that I do not have low self-esteem. That doesn't mean that I always make the best decisions. You know, I'm still a flawed human being. You know, I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect by any means. But my self-esteem has grown tremendously over the years. I can sit up here and look in this camera and make eye contact with y'all, and I can confidently say, I know my worth. I am not perfect. I still have my flaws, but I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table. I know that I legitimately have good shit that I bring to the table. I know that I legitimately have worked hard to get to where I am today. I know that I clean up nice. I look good. I treat people well. I am kind. I am creative. I am funny. I am talented. I am smart. I am a hard worker. I am a smart businesswoman. I am successful. I am impactful. I make an impact on others. I am emotionally intelligent. Maybe not 100% perfect in all these areas, but like, I know what I bring to the table. I know the good qualities that I have. I no longer have low self-esteem to where anybody could come to me and say, "Oh, well, you're not this and you're not that and you're not worthy and that's why, that's why you're single or whatever." Like nobody can convince me that I am unworthy. Nobody can convince me that I don't bring enough to the table or I don't, you know what I mean? There was a time in the past where you could tell me that and I believed you because I was already telling myself that. I felt like the reason why I can't find love, or the reason why these men are treating me this way, or the reason why I'm single, or the reason why I keep having bad experiences is because I deserve it because I'm this or I'm that and I'm not good enough. There was a time when I believed that. Right now, I don't believe that, not one bit. I will never accept anything of that sort being the reason or being the answer. But mind you, at the same time, I don't want to make it seem like I am just cocky and stubborn and not willing to work on myself and not willing to see my flaws and see where I could still have, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to learn from past mistakes. There's always room to do things a little bit differently and adjust your own behavior and take responsibility for the role that you play in it. Like, I want to make that very clear that like both things can be true at the same time. I can know that there's room for improvement and I can be very self-aware in that sense, but I can also have a high self-esteem and know my worth and know what I bring to the table. And I'm happy to announce that that's where I am today, because I was not always there. And it took a lot of like inner work to get to that point. So yeah. Anyways, that's my dating update. That's all I got. I'll talk to y'all next Wednesday.